There we go. Hey guys, welcome. Today we are gonna talk about spellcasting, gang stalking, psychology, and loaded language. One of the crazier aspects of gang stalking is how people can practically be manipulated to believe anything. The one thing that is not understood enough about gang stalking is if you repeat something enough to anyone, chances are at one point the mind of the person is actually gonna give in and start believing it. Let's start with an example. And the example, we're gonna make it Scientology. So here, this is the basis of Scientology, and it says the following. Scientology's core belief is that humans are immortal spiritual beings. When when everyone, absolutely everyone that has ever existed has died. And then it says here, humans are immortal spiritual beings called Thetans who have forgotten their true nature and are trapped in a physical body. The religion teaches that through a process of self-discovery called auditing, individuals can become free of the negative experiences from their past lives, overcome their reactive mind, and reclaim their full spiritual abilities. A central goal is to achieve a state of operating Thetan, which is a higher spiritual state that transcends material law. Now, take this into consideration. There is a lot of people that have paid a lot of money to be part of Scientology. Adding on to that, let's look at breatharians here in YouTube. Breatharians is a new age movement where people with all the conviction of the
Okay, if
world
there's one AI site builder you need to meet, it's this dope tech from Wix.
claim that something is true, even when there is irrefutable evidence of the opposite. Now, let me show this to you. We're about to watch a video about breatharianism. And look, we all know how eating is a necessity to survive. It has been truth, it's always been truth, and it will forever be truth for as long as we exist. However, people actually are psychologically manipulable. Look, we're going to watch this, and I'm going to show you how some people have died because they wanted to believe something. They wanted something to be true, even where it defied logic. And we're not going to watch this whole video, but we're going to watch a little bit. This is a video about breatharianism, all right? So I'm going to show you this content with the intention of showing you with evidence how people can literally be made to believe anything. Let's start with this one. By the way, guys, don't forget to subscribe, drop a like. Happy Halloween.
This project is way more important than a single person. I'd say more important even than the human race.
In the spring of 2013, a channel titled Living on Light appeared on YouTube. Throughout its 3-month-long window of activity, a Seattle woman who went by the name Navina Shine regularly uploaded video diaries detailing the progress of an experiment she was conducting on herself.
My name is Navina Shine. I am both the founder of Living on Light and I'm the subject in the first of our experiments.
Navina's goal was simple. She wished to prove that a human being could survive without eating.
So in this Living on Light experiment, we want to demonstrate that it's possible for a human.
She was doing magical thinking. That's what she was experiencing. She wasn't in a reality. She was just doing some magical thinking.
Being to thrive without the need to ingest food into the physical body.
Instead, Navina would attempt to transition her body to use light as its only source of nutrition, a potential she believed everyone possessed if they could only find a way to unlock it. If Navina could prove such a lifestyle was possible, she predicted that people the world over would begin to adopt it, ushering in a foodless utopia with an end to hunger and a return to symbiosis with the natural world.
If it's actually true that humans do not have to eat food, it'll change everything we know about ourselves and our planet. It will change the consciousness of humanity, and it will change everything we do in our world.
Navina's beliefs about the human body were nothing new. By her own admission, Living on Light was largely based on the similar claims throughout the decades of people absorbing nourishment through air and light, with methods such as pranic breathing and sun gazing cited as replacements for eating and drinking. Named after the claim that they need only breathe in the nutrients needed to survive, they call themselves the breatharians.
I don't take any solid foods. I'm a breatharian. I have been for 19 years.
And we can treat our planet entirely differently. We can treat our lives entirely differently when we know that we don't have to eat.
Navina was no doubt familiar with the controversial history of breatharianism and the several so-called breatharian gurus who had experienced breathing.
Notice how there is abundant evidence that we need food to eat. It is the law of thermodynamics. Look, and if you do not know what the law of thermodynamics is, let me show you. Um, Law of thermodynamics, biology. I know it's misspelled. Human body. Watch. So look, listen to this. It says, the laws of thermodynamics apply to the human body as an open system that constantly exchanges energy and matter with its environment. The first law is seen in metabolism, where the body converts the chemical energy from food into other forms like heat and mechanical work. The second law is demonstrated through the body's need for constant energy to maintain its complex ordered structure, low entropy, which generates waste heat, increasing the overall entropy of the universe. Maintaining order. The body uses energy to maintain its highly organized structure, a state of low entropy. This is why constant input of energy, food, is necessary to combat the natural tendency towards disorder. Energy dissipation. No energy conversion is 100% efficient. The process of converting food into usable energy, like ATP is adenosine triphosphate, is inefficient, and the energy that isn't captured is lost as heat. This is how the body maintains a constant high internal temperature. So understand this, that there is evidence that we literally need food to survive. We'll die. I mean, we are using energy, we're burning calories, we move more, and if we don't eat anything, the body will decompose because nothing will be feeding it. So it's illogical for anyone to believe that we cannot that we can survive on air and water. It makes no sense. However, enough If a person is bombarded with the same message enough, people are more likely to believe it. Hence, propaganda. Hence, hence gang stalking. Where if you go online, let me show you what's happening on my Facebook right now. So look, for example, here they whenever someone is a victim of gang stalking, they're gonna go online and they're gonna look for information. But guess what information these people are going to find? They're going to find information like like all of this one. Let me give you an example of one that I just replied to. Watch. Here, the initial message is someone that's saying, I'm sorry for anyone who believes targeted energy weapons or who believes direct targeted energy weapons, they are not used in gang stalking. They are used for military forces only and controlled throughout. Though are not true. I already talked about this, but I went through a phase. Well, this person is saying that directed energy weapons are not real. But look at gang stalking literally convinces people. It convinces people that this is true. And there are so many people, and look, not all of them have a malicious intent. A lot of people are evil, but other people simply like to have fun with anyone who believes these conspiracy theories. They have fun at the expense of the person who is in a weak psychological state of mind because they believe that if the person is a crackhead. But look, here we go. And it says the following. I have hours of video evidence of immediate neighbors, vehicles parked across the road from me exhibiting directed energy weapons that are aimed directly at my style of home. So don't even try to falsely say that we are imagining this. You are obviously a paid shill attempting to put out some bogus claims. Notice how this person is saying it's claiming that is bogus information to believe that directed energy weapons are only used by the military forces. Notice notice that. So notice that and look, and there is so much of this happening. Look, people are even fighting me on this. I call this person, how come you haven't posted any of the evidence? I call this person a liar. And immediately, watch, look at how I'm attacked. This person said, the videos are on SD cards. How can I? And look what I replied. I said, John, that was that person's name. I put, that sounds like a you problem. If your story was true, you would have found a way already, which is true. If you had evidence of someone pointing a directed energy weapon at you, you would already have found a way to make that public. Anyone would. And this is what I am saying to this person here. And this is what follows after that. You'd be posting them all over the place if you really had evidence. No one with such evidence would have it stuck in an SD card, especially if you were attacked with directed energy weapons. Your logic makes no sense. You are jokester, gang stalking liar. And this person said, Efren, how come you keep attacking? You are afraid of some truth. Notice that this person, hey Mac, good evening. Notice that this person didn't even um, acknowledge my point. This person completely deflected. And this person literally accused me of being afraid of the truth without even acknowledging my point of view. Then this person said, you literally just asserted the truth by changing the subject to my verbiage. Typical conversational redirection. Go ahead, defend your lies by using those tactics that have worked with you your entire life. Anyone who's seeking the truth will recognize you're full of lies. And that's all I care about. Not about beating someone who still writes with crayons. And then immediately I began to get attacked by my sexuality, which has nothing to do with this. And people, look at the comments. Just look at the absurdity of these comments. Look at what people keep saying. Look, this is they've been under our skin since the 90s with their technology. I don't know who paid you to post this. Do you see how absurd this is? I don't know who paid you to post this. This people are already discrediting this person who's saying that military weapons are used that directed energy weapons are used only in military applications, which is completely logical. It's the most logical answer that you're ever going to hear, but gang stalking pushes the directed energy weapon narratives on people who are sensible to these things. Anyone who is being gang stalked. And people will keep discrediting victims of hang on. People will keep discrediting anyone who says that directed energy weapons are not part of gang stalking. Gang stalking and directed energy weapons, the gang, the directed energy weapons narrative is what makes gang stalking. Mm. I don't know about COVID. I didn't get it though. But notice on the next one, and it says here, they've been under our skin since the 90s with their technology. I don't know who paid you to post this, but it's so not true. Silent weapons for silent war. Next. And look at how these stories are being pushed on people by so many people, and people actively are making an effort to make everyone believe these things. Anyone who is part of a gang stalking group will be fed these things. For example, this next one that says, this photo is part of my evidence. It appears in my book. I've been updating it to include the Franklin cover up. It's like, how does the Franklin cover up of 1978? Oh, that has to, the Franklin cover up is not even a cover up. Everyone knows that that was true. No one is hiding that. But look at how she keeps adding to it, which was connected to a California trafficking ring round around 1982. How is California trafficking round have to do with the Franklin cover up? And look at how she's a victim. The same network I was a victim of. It's like, girl, that was until 1992, dude. You know what I mean? And then she said, years later, when I began working on missing children's cases, I realized I had become a target myself. They were trying to push me towards suicide. Looking back, it's clear that everything traces back to that original event in 1984, when I was 7 years old and took off running. And look at notice how this makes no sense. It's convoluted. And look, she says that she works with missing children on missing children cases. And she's a psychic reader. She isn't a type of social worker. And look, this. Oh, hang on. Let's keep going. Next. Notice. Let's see her evidence. Like, I can't even tell. Like, the local victims. I was stalked with disturbing satanic images in 2019. One image showed a patient in a hospital room, alongside depictions of a child trafficking event. Correct. How is someone stalked with satanic images? Do you notice how this story is already not squaring up? I was stalked with satanic images. How can you be stalked with satanic images? Do you know what I mean? And then she's saying another picture was a file that had the okay, look, another picture was a file. Look, how is a picture a file that had the Deuce blueprint written out, appearing to outline directed energy weapon attack? That one had bloody mess written on it and described nosebleeds and violent trauma. Not long after, they had someone rent a house to me with bloody mess in the basement. They had pounded on the walls 24/7. These patterns mirror the 1983 Jarvis, Minnesota case, just 5 hours from here, where law enforcement and government officials were involved in the rituals and molestations and precipitated in the cover-up of satanic ritual abuse. Like, this is just graffiti, bitch. Like, these are drawings. You see what I'm talking about? Like, this is nothing. Like, you could have, this is a freaking stand-up tanning bed that is dirty. So this is her evidence. This is not evidence of nothing. These are just some random pictures. And notice that every picture of evidence is always blurry. Notice that. And look, moving on. People are actively pushing all these crazy stories. And these stories, all of them go against all logic. There is no logic in these stories. There isn't. But look, I literally believe, to me, when I was getting being gang stalked,
Celebrity within the fringes of the modern
gang stalking makes you feel sensations on your body. It really does. There's how do you, gang stalking puts your mind in a state where it can be programmed. It's that simple. Over time, you become easier to manipulate. And if someone taps you and touches you constantly, your body will replicate those sensations. There is a state of mind where your mind literally becomes programmable. And gang stalkers are posting all of these fake stories to program your mind. That's literally what it is. Now, now let's keep watching the video. Well, if you are pushed any idea, any story long enough, you are gonna believe that sooner or later. That's just how our minds are. Period. Unless you know the truth and you don't accept anything other than the truth.
New Age movement, later to have been exposed as lying about their lifestyle. Notable examples include Hira Ratan Manek, an Indian spiritualist who claimed to have not eaten for over a decade, instead staring into the sun as a method of maintaining vital functions, who was photographed at a restaurant in 2011. But Navina was undeterred by such reputational blemishes. For her, living on light was an answer to a higher calling.
I see myself as being called to create this experiment and bring this vastly important information out into the world.
Many interpreted Navina's cheerful, sincere disposition as impressionable to the point of being delusional. Her experiment was met with overwhelming discouragement, with the comment sections filled with reminders of the obvious dangers of such an undertaking. But where most viewers of Living on Light saw a woman ensnared in esoteric mysticism, Navina saw herself as on the cusp of groundbreaking enlightenment, referring to breatharianism as the greatest discovery the human race has ever made. So on May 3rd of 2013, 65-year-old Navina Shine ate what she believed might be her last meal, and began her process of living on light.
All the people who do this, who say they do this, and there's thousands of them who say this.
Notice thousands of people say it. Thousands of people claim lies, dude. And it's even about things that are obvious, that are physiologically impossible. People are making these claims. But if enough people claim that something is truth, if you happen to watch enough of the content or to accept it, you will be made to do crazy things, just like this woman
I
did.
can't think that all of them are lying. I mean, I can't think that.
Specifically, how long did you go without eating?
For me, on and off, well, pretty well just on water and tea for 2 years.
The name of Navina Shine's experiment
Did you see that? So notice how shamelessly she is claiming to not eat for 2 years. Everyone knows that you will die if you don't eat for 2 years.
was likely taken from a self-advertised spiritual guru who came to prominence in the late 1990s.
And what's worse, they give her space on television. Imagine if you're a child and you're reading the story about this pretty woman, or you're watching this woman on the news who says that she became magical because she didn't eat for 2 years.
An Australian woman named Ellen Grieve, more commonly known as Jasmuheen, published a book titled Living on Light, which detailed a 21-day process of transitioning into a lifestyle which no longer required food.
And there's books. And there's books, guys.
Instead, Jasmuheen claimed nourishment would be provided by prana, a Sanskrit word meaning breath or life force.
Where are they getting their sustenance from if they're not getting it from food?
Ki, the chi, the universal life force, or what we call prana, or if you're a religious person, you would say you are fed by the light of God, and obviously that's very hard to measure.
Jasmuheen stated to have acclimated to this lifestyle years ago, but still ate occasionally when the urge to experience a particular taste arose.
I want to call your attention to an
Hey, Double O, I hope you're doing good. Good to see you. So notice how, okay, let's keep watching.
Been free from the need to take any nourishment from food now for 11 years. That doesn't mean that I've had 11 years of taking nothing, but in that time, yeah, I've had the odd piece of chocolate or cappuccino or completely non-nourishing substance, because the path is about freedom.
Despite failing to rise to mainstream popularity during the quasi-mysticism trend of the 90s, a space occupied by New Age juggernauts like Deepak Chopra, she secured a loyal following reportedly numbering in the thousands. Her critics saw her as a dangerous charlatan whose teachings, if sincerely followed, would lead to inevitable tragedies.
Exactly. And it's the same thing with gang stalking. But you still need food. Exactly. What we're talking about here in this stream, if you guys just got here, is how people can be convinced of anything if pushed hard enough. If enough people are claiming that something is true, you will believe it sooner or later, which is exactly, and I'm covering this because in gang stalking, we are pushed a story about people being harassed with directed energy weapons. And and if you say the opposite, you get attacked. For example, in this example, this person right here, for short, is saying that directed energy weapons are not used in gang stalking. And she's saying that directed energy weapons are only used in government. And here, this person that said that was immediately attacked. These people were arguing against her. But notice how many people are saying they literally have patents for these types of things. And then they are calling her, you are a perpetrator whose gaslighting tactics will not work. If you know, you know. You are only lying to yourself, and it's funny. Too late in the game for more liars. And people are pushing this agenda that directed energy weapons are real. And look, this other person says they literally have direct energy weapons everywhere now, which are the towers they put up after COVID-19. Silent weapons for quiet wars. NASA war document. Read them. Notice, and she's being called a handler. And look, people are literally pushing a lot of information. There is an active intent at convincing people that directed energy weapons are a real thing and that are being used on average citizens. You can see it here, and this is not the only place. If you go on any group about gang stalking, just I dare you to type gang stalking doesn't have directed energy weapons, and you are going to be attacked. Now, moving on. Now, if enough people tell you that something is true for long enough, you are going to believe it, even when everything else around you is telling you the opposite, even in front of reality, which is the craziest thing.
But her followers saw her as a vessel of ancient forgotten knowledge, tasked with the duty of bringing about a shift in human consciousness in time for the new millennium.
We are going through a huge shift in consciousness. It's obvious on the physical plane and it's obvious within the physical bodies of mankind.
We could end hunger for good, Jasmuheen stated, if only we could reconnect to the alternate channels that offer freedom from physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual hungers. The first week of Jasmuheen's 21-day living on light regimen, as detailed in her book, involved consuming nothing at all.
It's constant repetition, for example, advertisement into wanting or believing exactly.
Solid or
Yeah.
liquid. According to the blogs of people who have attempted this protocol, extreme fatigue, kidney pain, and the sensation of their mouths feeling glued shut were common complaints within a few days of this initial phase. But the book's assurance that this was merely the old spirit leaving the body, that these were signs of breaking through, kept them motivated to continue.
But notice how this person is telling you to interpret the signs of your body asking for food as something else. It's exactly the same thing that happens in gang stalking. In gang stalking, you begin to hear voices, you feel weird sensations, and everyone around you is telling you that they are directed energy weapons. Notice that no one ever talks about maybe their voices. Everyone is actively pushing out the concept of directed energy weapons on anyone that talks about gang stalking. That is the narrative that is being pushed by thousands of people on the internet, which is insane as hell. Look, let's listen to people saying that the common effects are your mouth feeling glued together because you're dehydrated, and kidney pain because you haven't had anything to eat. Your body cannot clean up the blood because there's no water. And this person is telling you, oh, it's this evil spirits. It's your past spirit living your body. It's like, what? How does living on light have to do with your old spirit? It doesn't even make sense, dude. She says something to make it make sense. Look, let's listen to it again.
And spiritual hungers. The first week of Jasmuheen's 21-day
Exactly, she's just
living
said
on
that.
light regimen, as detailed in her
listen.
book, involved consuming nothing at all, solid or liquid.
Listen.
According to the blogs of people who have attempted this protocol, extreme fatigue, kidney pain, and the sensation of their mouths feeling glued shut were common complaints within a few days of this initial phase.
Okay, so let's look at the logic. What is the why uh why do my lips feel, oh shoot, Why do my lips feel glued shut? Let's see. Look, if your lips feel glued shut due to dry mouth, which happens when there isn't enough saliva to keep the mouth wet. This can be caused by dehydration, mouth breathing, especially while sleeping, certain medications, and conditions like sleep apnea. Lack of lubrication can make saliva thick and sticky, causing the lips and tongue to stick together. Dehydration is the first thing that tells you this, right? Yeah, it sounds like a cult. Yeah, yeah. So I guess gang stalking can be cultish. I guess gang stalking is a huge cult, but the size of the cult is so insane. So look, let's see. So I feel very weak. Why do I feel very weak? Why do I feel weak when I'm not eating? And it's you feel weak when you don't eat because your body lacks the energy it needs to function. And look, so look, this is it. So then notice how the reasoning, notice how this woman gives you a lens through which to interpret you feeling tired. Look, keep listening.
But the book's assurance that this was merely the old spirit leaving the body, that these were signs of breaking through, kept them.
The old spirit living the body. Bitch, you're not trying to get rid of your spirit. You're trying to live of prana. What does your body living your spirit living your body have to do with not eating food? It's living your body, yeah, but not because of detoxing. It's living your body because you're freaking dying. So let's see. What are you saying? Gang stalking 100% real, and while it happens if you bombarded with anxiety, and over time it's meant to make you feel crazy, constantly people trying to. Oh yeah, I know that. I know. It's true. What you're saying is true. Yeah, that's why we're talking about this. So we're gonna talk about. So this is the psychology part of today's stream. We're talking about this psychological part. But
Motivated to continue.
notice that in a little bit we're going to go about spells. We're going to talk about spells. So notice how if someone tells you something and claims that something is true enough, you're going to believe it sooner or later. It's literally like magic. It's literal magic, dude.
The following 2 weeks allowed for the reintroduction of small amounts of water and diluted juice, but no food. It was recommended instead to channel pranic nourishment through meditation.
And simply saying, as the energy flows through you, feed me. It's that simple.
At the end of this 21-day initiation, individuals were promised a new body, recalibrated to feed from the universe's pranic cache. In addition to her
Okay,
books
look.
and website, Jasmine.
Here we go. We have another one. So again, so notice how here on the chat we have someone who's pushing out misinformation. And they use 5G towers and blue light towers too. I've noticed. Bitch, there's no such thing as a blue light tower outside. Look, so this person is trying to push out misinformation that we have here on the chat. So young Dirk is either a gang stalker or is an actual target of gang stalking. That's the only two things that make sense. But look, someone confidently saying that they use 5G towers too. And look, Young, we already checked 5G towers, and scientifically, it's impossible. You're just spreading misinformation, and that's why I'm gonna hide you on the channel, because I don't like people like you that just go around lying. So notice that even here we have people pushing out. Oh yeah, they're blue light towers. Like here, like in the message, like you can see it. Did it appear? Hang on. Let me see if I can reappear it. Refresh. Oh no, it doesn't. But notice how earlier we had one person just now talk about 5G and blue light towers. It's like, no, dude. Again, more misinformation pushing. There is no safe space from these crazy people. No, so good, go double low. Don't believe any of it. But did you see how this person, young Dirk, was actively trying to say, oh yeah, they use 5G towers. Did you see that? Notice that my stream is constantly bombarded by people trying to claim that these things are true. And that's every person that's talking about gang stalking.
Would hold worldwide retreats, charging $1,500 for admittance. A small price, she argued, in exchange for no longer requiring caloric intake.
All my vitamins, all my mineral, everything that I need to maintain a fully healthy, vital, strong, regenerative body, vital body, using body if you want that too, can come from prana, that this can be maintained from the divine force within.
The first of Jasmuheen's...
What happened? Oh, commercial.
The Wonder Oven Pro is an 8-in-1 non-toxic air fryer toaster oven.
So, did you guys notice how every stream I at least have one person saying it's AI, it's this, it's that. You have to block those people. I was kind of lacking earlier and on my past streams, and I haven't been blocking them. I've been actually chatting with them, but having a conversation with any of these people that push the directed energy weapon narrative, you need to block them immediately.
Her website, fell into a colorful rabbit hole of promised enlightenment and slipped into a coma after attempting the 21-day protocol. The second fatality was Australian Lonnie Morris.
And notice that people keep dying. People keep dying by trying these things.
Under the tutelage of a breatharian couple who were later found guilty of manslaughter, Lonnie Morris began to experience speech loss, paralysis, and eventual death after little more than a week into Jasmuheen's living on light process. The black liquid she began vomiting days into the initiation, the breatharian couple assured her was a spiritual pollutant that needed to be expelled. Jasmuheen denied culpability.
It was probably the thing from her stomach.
Perhaps they were not coming from a place of integrity and did not have the right motivation, she told the Sunday Times. But it was after the death of her third follower, a 49-year-old woman named Verity Lynn, that the Australian media began to push Jasmuheen to renounce living on light.
I don't mean to belittle your beliefs, and I'm sure they're sincerely held, but there is a woman who is dead in Scotland as a consequence of following your principles.
Along with a copy of Jasmuheen's book, authorities found Verity Lynn's diary. The last entry indicated Lynn didn't make it past the first week before collapsing of dehydration. She was discovered lying in a secluded moorland in northern Scotland by a passing fisherman. Jasmuheen pointed out that in her book and on her website were disclaimers of personal accountability, including a checklist where aspirants were meant to self-assess their own eligibility based on physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual fitness. Those who didn't meet such criteria as feeling the presence of the Divine One within were discouraged from embarking on living on light.
And I effectively promote in that book absolute self-responsibility, use of personal discernment and self-mastery. Richard,
give responsibility to people who are silly enough to starve themselves.
None of the people who are involved in this see it like that.
In an effort to quash Jasmuheen's growing movement, the television program 60 Minutes issued her an opportunity to prove the legitimacy of her lifestyle, broadcast to Australian viewers nationwide. Jasmuheen agreed to a...
And notice how people are, even after people have died, people are even, they wanna give her an opportunity because they still want to believe. They want her to show everyone.
7-day demonstration in which she would take in no food or water, monitored by 24-hour surveillance, claiming it would be nothing more than a holiday.
If you wouldn't watch me die, I'd come out smiling and laughing of your holiday.
And the controversial broadcast that followed would become a moment in breatharian history, referenced by both critics and advocates for decades to come.
Don't you think you should leave it to the audience to decide and the people who've bothered to do in-depth research into what I'm actually saying to decide?
What 60 Minutes was proposing was a dangerous experiment, but nothing beyond what Jasmuheen advocated inside the pages of Living on Light. But unlike those who had died attempting it, Jasmuheen's progress would be attended by a
Yeah, so in 60 minutes, they tried to, they did that. They recorded her for 7 days without eating. But let's see what happens.
physician who regularly monitored her vitals throughout the week. As they met Jasmuheen in her home to escort her to the hotel where the experiment was to take place, she was asked about her refrigerator stocked with food. She claimed most of it belonged to her partner, the carton of creamer she kept for tea in case they were guests. The experiment itself was short-lived. After day 2 without food or water, the physician began warning Jasmuheen of signs of dehydration and elevated blood pressure. Jasmuheen claimed the city's air and its pollutants were preventing her from properly feeding from her pranic source.
So notice how when she's attacked with the truth, she is always coming out with a reason. That's exactly what happens in gang stalking. They're trying to sell you pseudoscience as truth. Listen again to what she said when
it's relocated
when her panic source, when she failed the 60-minute thing. Watch. Listen to what she says. Listen to this.
Of creamer she kept for tea in case they were guests. The experiment itself was short-lived. After day 2 without food or water, the physician began warning Jasmuheen of signs of dehydration and elevated blood pressure. Jasmuheen claimed the city's air and its pollutants were preventing her from properly feeding from her pranic source. So 60 Minutes relocated her to a more rural location.
She blamed it on the freaking city. And then they gave her another opportunity. Notice that they actually kept with her and they said, okay, let's try it somewhere else then. You pick it now. Hang on. That's pretty much what they said. Okay, now you selected them.
Her pulse continued to elevate, a sign of severe dehydration as well as a drop in blood pressure and weight loss relocated her to a more rural location. Her pulse continued to elevate, a sign of severe dehydration as well as a drop in blood pressure and weight loss of over 13 pounds. Despite her deteriorating physical state, Jasmuheen reported being in good spirits.
It's Friday night. You started on Monday night. How much water have you had?
None.
None whatsoever?
No, I'm not allowed.
How much food?
None, I'm not allowed.
How are you feeling?
I feel really good now I'm here.
After day 4, the physician estimated Jasmuheen was experiencing around 11% dehydration. Her pulse had doubled since the beginning.
Dude, 11% dehydration is insane, dude. You could with like a 2% point, like 2% 2% dehydration or 0.2% dehydration is already affecting your cognitive abilities. It's insane, dude. 11% dehydration
Of the experiment, and she was at risk for kidney failure. It was recommended that 60 Minutes bring everything to a halt, to which they agreed.
It's too dangerous to continue?
Very much so, too dangerous to continue. 60 Minutes would be culpable if they encouraged her to continue.
The decision to end the demonstration was a divisive one. Many saw it as a clear debunking of Living on Light. If a veteran breatharian such as Jasmuheen couldn't withstand week 1, how could anyone be expected to survive it? Jasmuheen was maligned in the press. She was even awarded the Ig Nobel Prize, a parody of the Nobel Prize meant to satirize unscientific research. Other recipients include Scientology founder L. Ron Hubbard and fellow New Age guru Deepak Chopra for his liberal interpretation of quantum physics. But followers of Jasmuheen's brand of breatharianism argued that by ending the experiment early, 60 Minutes had disproved nothing. The dehydration, the quick...
Of course she's going to say that. You haven't disproved nothing. You know, that's what else is she going to say?
And heart rate, they claimed, were normal and expected aspects of her 21-day process. I see no reason why Jasmuheen should not have passed the test, wrote filmmaker and breatharian advocate P.A. Straubinger. But it was stopped by the 60 Minutes team who wanted to prove their story. Jasmuheen's momentum in the fringe spiritual movement was slowed but not halted. Her presence persisted well into the ensuing decades, cited by many contemporary breatharians such as Navina Shine as being the authority on this way of life.
A very exciting thing happened for me yesterday. I managed to catch Jasmine before she went off on her tour. Jasmine lives in Australia, and she's kind of the guru, the authority on living on light. Breatharianism. She's been a breatharian for many years now, and so she lives breatharianism.
Although Jasmine knew the results of such experiments when taken too far, she had Skyped with Navina to offer her encouragement, even promoting Navina's YouTube channel from her own Facebook page. But despite the clear influence, Navina Shine's version of living on light was her own, one which thankfully did not require her to...
Okay, so now we already saw how, okay, we already checked Scientology. We already checked the YouTube, the Disbitherianism. And notice how people, even when proven that it's impossible, time and time again, people keep pushing these stories even when the evidence is in front of their face. Even when the evidence is here, they're gonna keep denying it. And that is the problem, is that it's like how are you gonna prove that breatharianism isn't a thing? You can't, because you haven't tried it. You haven't tried not eating for the rest of your life. You're always gonna freaking end up eating something. But you can make the claims. As long as you don't see the person eating, you can keep making the claims that you don't eat. Now, this is the same thing about gang stalking, is that if people are gonna say these things. Okay, so now, even when something is true, it's not true, and it's evidently not true, if you say it enough to a single person, the person might believe it. So just like how when I was being gang stalked, I had a lot of people being like, ugh, like to me, dude. And I'm like average. And there were times where I looked really good, and I even had people look at me and go, ugh. As part of my gang stalking operation, I began to believe, is there something, am I disgusting? What's wrong? And over time, I just fed into it, and I was like, oh my God, I became a germaphobe. I began to use a lot of hand sanitizer. My hands were dry all the time from all the hand sanitizer. Okay, so let's keep watching. Look, now we're gonna talk a little bit about psychology and how can someone. Let's talk about let's see, charged dialogue manipulation. Gang stalking pretty much is a bunch of people talking to you with the intention of having you believe something. So look, let's try this. Let's check out this. We're gonna look at 100 tactics of manipulations. Okay. So look. Control tactics work by creating fear, obligation, and guilt. Fog, fear, obligation, and guilt. And once you are in the fog, confusion sets in. So when you are under fear, when you feel obligated, or when you feel guilty, which is it's genius. I'm confident that if you can see control tactics for what they are and put a name to them when they are being used on you, you can cut through the fog and find your way out. For this reason, I went to work creating this comprehensive list of control tactics organized into 4 categories. Everyone, by the way, should read this stuff. Everyone should understand this, because not understanding control tactics can really affect you if you are not a manipulative person. You have to understand how manipulation works if you do not want to be manipulated by people. Manipulation is literally saying words that will make a person obliged to your desires. That's manipulation. It's literally spell casting. It's literally spells. Okay, and this is how it goes. So we're gonna start with fear, sarcasm. Sarcasm is when someone says the opposite of what they actually mean, in an effort to criticize or poke fun. For example, someone notices you're taking a break at work and remarks, "Somebody's working hard." Okay. Your spouse notices. By the way, if there is a one of these, if you have an example for any of these, feel free to put it in the chat. And here we have the next one. Your spouse notices that your socks are on the floor again. And then the spouse says, "Oh wow, your socks are on the floor again. What a surprise." And another one is someone disagrees with your idea and says, "Great idea, Einstein." That is, it's disguised in lightheartedness. You know what I mean? And these are meant to make you feel guilty or to make you feel dumb. Oh my God, you're so smart, Einstein. You know what I mean? This is the thing, is that if you're getting gang stalked and you're actually really smart, gang stalkers will tell you that you're stupid by being like, "Oh my God, you're so smart, Einstein." And over time, you're going to be accused of being stupid indirectly, but people are telling you that you're smart. However, however, you're not going to be able to say that they're calling you stupid because they're not calling you stupid. They're calling you smart by using sarcasm. Next, we're going to talk about gossiping, smear campaigns, and character assassination. Gossiping when someone shares negative and or personal information with anyone also who also has a personal relationship with you. This is also part of gang stalking. Gang stalkers will put you in weird situations and they're gonna snap pictures of you, painting you as a disaster. For example, a gang stalker can give you pills, get you stoned AF, and then take pictures of you being really stoned and out of your mind and tell everyone that you have yourself become a drug addict when they were the ones that gave you the drugs in the first place. That is real gang stalking. Okay, now we're talking about the next one. By the way, gang stalking is something irrefutably evil. It's evil to the very core. Evil is in the heart of gang stalking. So if you are being gang stalked, you want to make sure to don't do anything that will lead you to take anything that could put you in a bad light. You simply have to stop anything that will put you in a bad light, and you have to stop talking to anyone who who is who puts themselves in a bad light, because a lot of times they're going to invite you to be in a bad light with them so that they can also harass you, or so that they can how do you say, paint you as a drug addict. For example, a drug user can tell you, "Oh, let's go get high," and this person will later on, go to the restroom and take pictures of you while smoking crack and show them to everyone around you and use them to blackmail you, to paint you as a crack addict. Moving on. Your parent talks to your siblings about how she disapproves of your personal life decisions. Talking about disapproval of someone to people that have nothing to do with it, that is smearing. That is smearing. Your partner tells one of your mutual friends about mistakes you've made. Your grandparent tells your parents about your personal life decisions that she disapproves of. That is gossiping, smear campaigns, and character assassination. Public sharing. Public sharing is when someone shares your personal information in a public setting. Example: your parent posts pictures of you on your social media without your permission. Okay, we're already triangulation. Okay, I'm totally coming out of the topic that we meant to be talking about. I'm sorry, that wasn't my intention. I went on a complete tangent. It hasn't happened to me in a while. Okay, so actually, let's look about how what is the psychology behind spouse. Okay, so here we go. This is what it's saying. The psychology behind spells is rooted in magical thinking, where individuals believe their thoughts, words, or actions can influence the external world without a physical connection, often to gain a sense of control during times of uncertainty. Hang on, hang on. Okay, here we go. So, look, listen to this. The psychology behind spells or manipulation. Hang on. Hang on. Manipulating perception. Hang on. No, this is not what I'm looking for. Spells, repetition. Okay, look. So first we're going to talk about repetition. Repetition is linked to a belief in psychology through the illusory truth effect, where repeated statements are more likely to be judged as true, even if they are false. This is what happens in gang stalking. Gang stalkers are actively pushing out onto you accusations. I need to pee. So that's the thing, is that you are actively accused of a lot of things when you're being gang stalked. And there's going to be a point where your subconscious mind is actually going to make your subconscious mind is going to simply make the decision to believe something simply because it has been repeated enough. And gang stalkers, when I was being gang stalked and gang stalkers had access to me, I used to I used to receive really ominous messages by a lot of people. People would tell me that I was a lot of things that I wasn't. Hang on. And the crazy thing about it is that it literally it literally became true. People were always talking to me about illicit substances and about immoral behavior, and that's I was harassed by a bunch of people saying these things. I'm having some nicotine, hell. And if you have enough people saying those things to you, you're gonna start doubting who you really are. And that's exactly what happened to me during my gang stalking operation. I was surrounded by a bunch of people who were calling me, who were talking to me consistently about illicit substances, about gambling, and you guys have seen it here in my chat about directed energy weapons, about a lot of things like that. And there's gonna be a point. By the way, this locals is not hooking up. Hang on. I was gonna show you. I was gonna show you something. Dang it. Ah. Well. I forgot what I was going to show you. Oh, so a spell in spells exist, but this is not common knowledge. People don't understand that if you get to be, if you get enough fear, enough uncertainty, enough confusion, and people push you a bunch of these stories, like on those targeted individual Facebook groups that I just showed you, if people push onto you enough of enough evidence, pseudo evidence about directed energy weapons, about people being harassed by the government, and if enough people say that it's true, you are literally being manipulated to believe those things. That that is nothing short of magic. Do you think it is organized like they talk about together, or more like they just know you're the target, like when boys pick up on one kid always? It's like that. It's group bullying. It's bullying, but the bullying is adult. It's adult bullying. It's adult bullying. But notice that it's adult bullying to a next level. Arturo Garza. So the truth is that look, when I went onto my Snapchat, people that I hadn't talked to before send me pictures of them smoking meth, pictures of themselves playing with themselves. They would also send me they would talk about illicit substances, and people talked a lot to me about illicit substances. These people didn't shut up about illicit substances, which is why I blocked them. And that's the one thing that I didn't do before. So when someone keeps talking to you about something that is obviously bad for you, that is gonna work your mind to be thinking about those things. They are poisoning your mind. That is so hard to detect because if you're talking to someone about spicy things, you cannot accuse them of brainwashing you because gang stalking is a bunch of people trying to brainwash you, but you cannot claim, "Oh, I'm being gang stalked," because no one is obtusely saying something, which is the hardest thing. So if you're gang stalked, you have to be incredibly watchful to the things that people are saying to you and around you, because gang stalkers, it's like a coven. And look, I'm not a person to believe in witches or warlocks or whatever. I don't believe in any of that stuff. I believe in pure psychology. But the resemblance is uncanny when spells, when you tell someone, "Oh my God, I was using all of this crystal meth, I was doing all of these things, I was doing all of this." And if you keep talking to a person about that, sooner or later, that's gonna get in their mind. Meth people are so annoying. Thank God it's not a big issue in my city. San Diego reeks of meth users. And look, and I was I didn't understand that these people were talking to me about illicit substances purposefully to keep me in the hole. And look, illicit substance use is the worst thing. And look, it's a decision that you have to know that if you keep hanging out with those people, you're not going to be able to get out of it. And the thing is that if you're being gang stalked, the worst decision you can ever make is to get high of anything or drunk or gamble. Never, 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 never. Just don't. Okay, now misery loves company. Yeah, no, and not only that, but misery doesn't only love company. However, misery wants is always trying to feel better by making others more miserable than they are. That's what you have to understand is that You cannot hang out with people who are miserable because they're going to try to bring you down with them and they're going to try to pull you lower than they are to make themselves feel better. Gang stalkers operate on comparing themselves to other people. So if they're constantly comparing themselves to you, they're going to make sure that you are not better than they are. And they're going to do everything possible for you to not ever be able to be better than they are. So now let me show you a little bit about psychology, the psychology of spells, uh, psychology of spells akin to manipulation, repetition, subconscious thoughts. I'm just looking up terms to see if anything that will. Okay, okay, here we go. Look, listen. The psychology, the psychology behind spells akin to manipulation. You know, gang stalking did something to me where, look, I'm gonna tell you something that gang stalking did to me that I don't understand. The word akin, I have never used that word before. I do not even know what it means, but I just know my mind just knows that I have to use that word. It's the weirdest thing, but gang stalking for some reason allow it did something really strange to my mind where it allowed me to use words that I don't know and they're always right. What's a kin? Mean like I don't even know what a kin means. Similar nature. Okay, okay. Like I gang stalking just did that to my mind where there's words that I don't even know what they mean, but my mind knows the word. So I use it and it's always right. It's weird. Okay, so here we go. Like I already knew what it meant, but I didn't know. Like I didn't know I knew what it meant without even knowing what it meant. I'm not sure if that makes sense. I knew that the word akin was the right word to use in what I wanted it to mean, but there is no memory of me ever of me learning that word. There isn't, which is the strangest thing. Hmm. Of similar nature of character or character. Okay, so here we go. Arturo Garza. Yep, my best friend since seventh grade. We're 32 now, but I never could contact months ago because his mother is a textbook narcissist and he cannot escape her. He's becoming a bitter. It's awful. So spending any time with narcissists is the worst thing that you can do. You're gonna die. You literally will die if you do not know how to understand. If you do not understand narcissism. It's the craziest thing. Okay, so now here we go. The psychology behind spells akin to manipulation involves established principles of suggestion, repetition, and subconscious processing, which are powerful tools for influencing thoughts and behaviors. This is true. I lived it. I was made to believe that I was for some reason not. I never thought I was actually harassed by the government. I thought that gang stalking somehow had connections where they had all of these technology put in everyday society. That's what I believe. So suggestive repetition, subconscious processing. These techniques are often used by magicians, advertisers, and therapeutic settings like hypnosis. Work by leveraging cognitive biases and brain's natural processes. And let's go. Key psychological mechanisms include priming. This is a technique where exposure to a certain stimulus unconsciously influences a person's response to a subsequent stimuli. For example, subtle behavior. Hang on, I need to slow down. Subtle verbal and nonverbal cues, primes, such as specific gestures or conversational phrases can force a decision with while the target still feels in control of their choice. So priming is this is in sales pretty much. If you're trying to sell a car, you can have a setup where you have a coworker close a deal and the customer who isn't a customer is actually part of the sales team saying, oh my god, this is the best deal I have gotten. Or someone who would just come in and say, oh my god guys, the car was amazing, thank you so much, um, this is the best car I've ever had, and I went everywhere else and no one gave me a better price than you guys. So that is priming the purchaser, the actual purchaser, to feel more comfortable making that decision. So it's practically forcing the decision, and it's forcing the the person buying into feeling confident in making in signing. So let's look a little bit at priming because this is interesting. What's priming? What's priming? Not sales, manipulation. So influence without awareness. Priming manipulation works by making certain concepts more accessible in a person's mind. For example, saying the word yellow can make you identify banana faster than chair, even if you don't consciously remember seeing yellow. Subliminal versus supraliminal priming. This is new. I haven't heard these concepts before. Let's see. Subliminal priming involves exposing a person to a stimulus that is too brief for them to consciously perceive, such as word flash for milliseconds on a screen. Supraliminal priming involves using a stimulus that a person can consciously perceive, but which still influences their reaction without their awareness or effect. Example, associative priming. Showing the word cat makes it faster to recognize um, the word mouse, because they're associating with in our minds. Hey JP, I'm doing good. How are you? Right now we're learning about spells, psychology, and gang stalking. And let's see. So associative priming. So if you're trying to associate, for example, if you're trying to make someone, if you're trying to encourage someone to use substances, a lot of people can talk to you that they use a certain substance, other cool people, and all of a sudden you're going to be more likely to take an illicit substance. When I was gang stalked, I had a lot of people actually talk to me about illicit substances, even when they didn't use. So that is environmental priming. Associative priming, let's see. If you're surrounded by a bunch of crackheads, you're most likely to become one. And let's see, whether or not you like it. Environmental priming. A study found that a poster with ice in a break room made people more likely to pay for their drinks on an hour system. The image primed them to behave more honestly. Let's see, media priming. Repeated exposure to certain ideas in news articles or advertisements can shape public opinion and influence how people think about issues without them consciously realizing. For example, when you go here and you start seeing all of these things about directed energy weapons, and everyone is talking to you about directed energy weapons, and you're being gang stalked, and you see a lot of people claiming that directed energy weapons are being used on them, you are more likely to believe that whenever you're being primed to believe that a weird sensation that you feel, a twitch, is part of gang stalking. I'm gonna give you an example. Hang on. What was his name? Hang on. I have a really good example. Um, was it Studio Neil. Hang on. I think I might have a good example for you. Oh, can I search? No, I can't search. Oh, no. Oh yeah, I got it. I got it. Hang on. So look, this Stephen O'Neill. Look, I'm gonna show you a good example. So look, notice that in gang stalking, everyone talks about direct energy weapons, right? That's priming. And look, and notice that this person says it's electronic harassment. But look at what he's saying that it's electronic harassment. Look, it's a muscular twitch. We've all had those, right? We have all had those. Like you see that, right? That's literally a muscle just twitching, a spasm, and it's happened to all of us. However, notice that this person is saying electronic harassment, gang stalking, targeted individuals, state-sponsored harassment. But notice that it's literally just a leg twitching. I'm gonna put it big on the screen. You see that, right? It's literally his leg twitching. That's it. It's right there. It's that. It's right here. However, this person is literally claiming that that is a direct energy weapon. So look, if and look, he calls me a do denier. He calls me a do denier. So then, yeah, that's because I do deny it. But look, so this is priming. It's media priming. It's literally media priming. So this guy literally saw all of these. Really, come on. This person literally saw. Well, I have another. Saw all of these things first. He saw all of this. He saw all of this, and then because he's getting gang stalked and he was twitching, he immediately assumed that he was being harassed with a directed energy weapon. As you saw the title of the freaking video, he's literally calling it that he was harassed with directed energy weapons. So he got primed by these groups. hang on. He got primed. And now let's move on. Repetition. Repeated exposure to ideas, words, or actions makes them seem more familiar, which in turn increases their perceived truth and possibility. Notice that this is being used on every single target of gang stalking in every single one of my streams, in every single in a lot of these videos. People are talking, oh yeah, direct energy weapons are real. Everywhere that you go to find gang stalking information, people are actually pushing out all of these stories and theories about gang stalking. And I mean about direct energy weapons. It's repeated exposure to the ideas, and which in turn increases their perceived truth and possibility, a phenomenon known as the illusory truth effect. Repetition also ingrains information into the subconscious mind, forming habits and solidifying beliefs without conscious effort. It solidifies your beliefs without you actually consciously trying to make them truth, without actually you trying to find find the logical evidence. Like during my gang stalking operation, there was a time where I literally just felt a sharp pain with no explanation. And you know what my first thought was, oh my god, I was just shot with a directed energy weapon. That was my initial belief. Why? Because I was primed. I was primed, and I read a bunch of these stories that I even have highlighted information. Oh my god. I read a bunch of these stories, and I read this book. I read a lot of information that primed me to interpret things such as the muscular twitch by that guy that I just showed you as a direct energy weapon. And look, I'm gonna show you something who's really deep in the hole. I'm gonna show you someone who was primed so hard. I think she's homeless, but she defends. She defends with all her might gang stalking, and she says that I'm a liar.
I'm just discovering they are
So watch.
anointed people. Others realizing that what's been going on is this concept of gangs.
Oh, Arturo Garza saying, not to go off topic, you can ignore this question, but mentioning DEW weapons, do you think they were used in 9/11? No. There's absolutely nothing unordinary about 9/11. It was a terrorist attack. That's there is to it. That's it.
Stalking and being a targeted individual.
So look at what she says. Listen.
From gang stalking being something religious or spiritual. Okay, now he's gonna talk about technology, and it's gonna.
She will die on a hill before accepting that gang stalking is a psychological.
Knock your socks off. I thought this gang stalking was something religious or spiritual. He's gonna talk about 5G EMF. He's gonna talk about surveillance. What happened to the demon? Where the demon's at? And see, they always do the flip. And Stephanie the Seeker, she is one of the worst out of the current group.
Arturo, okay. The lack of rubble just trips me out. It will trip anyone out. But look, um, I feel like you should maybe get a book that was brought up, that was written by someone who was there, so you can get all of the full information. I also heard about the rest of the plane, about the Pentagon not being there, but there is so much information, and the truth is that I wasn't there. But you should look up any like official documents, official documents, so that you're not guessing.
Crop of fake gang stalking victims. This stuff been going on for so long it's not even funny. Oh, on YouTube, ComicTube. It's been going on. Watching
Havana syndrome and microwave weapons, directed energy weapons. Well, here's a new one for you probably. Perverts in the surveillance field. Okay, there's lots of perverts. You give them surveillance technology, and man, it is unbelievable what they're going to do with it.
This is not it. This wasn't
Raise,
what
I
it was looking
believe.
for. Hang on.
Basically, whatever. It was. They started it because of 5G, because 5G is.
But notice that there's people that are pushing all of this. There's so many people, and look, a lot of people are pushing this only for views.
Okay, so I'm being censored right now on YouTube, ComicTube, and I really hate when they do that shit. I hate when they.
But look how she's saying that she's censored, but look at her videos. Look, I have working I have been working on YouTube for more than a year. I don't know how to make videos. My videos are not any better than hers. I try to keep the boring parts out by cutting out the silence. And I've done some that I've edited, but they are so high effort, you know. And and she has 257 views, but her videos there's nothing else. She just does the same thing, but she's not trying to promote her channel. She's not doing anything. I have this on Rumble. I talk about I do a lot of different things to grow my YouTube channel. And now I stream on other platforms too. However, the thing is that she's saying that she's being like shadow banned or like held hostage. Look,
They censor my videos. I only got like maybe 20 people looking at my video at any time, but it is 5:25. Let's put the protest video on.
Putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay. Do you understand that? Turn the friggin' frogs gay. People listen to Netflix shows. Infowars.com. Don't know why everybody's sterile. Oh, we don't know. We don't know why we pick bisphenol A and all the rest of the.
but she look,
Or a real gang stalking victim.
Dream manipulation, having thoughts induced.
like she literally she believes this so hard. Like look at she actually goes almost every day to the Santa Monica Pier, and she puts gang stalking information. She puts the director energy weapon. Like she believes that she's being harassed with director energy weapons, dude. And she literally spends half of her time at the Santa Monica Pier. Look, there is nothing that makes me more sad than to see how these people are literally driven mad by a bunch of psychopaths.
52% have memory loss or declining cognitive function.
As gang stalking. The strange phenomenon was called Havana syndrome.
And that is known, that goes along with the microwave sickness, declining neurocognitive.
She is literally so obsessed with gang stalking that she's homeless. Look, I don't know if she lives anywhere. I don't know if she has a house or she's homeless. I don't know.
Popular Mechanics Magazine, psychoelectronic weapons effects. If you are a real gang stalking victim, I need you to Google popular psychoelectronic weapons effects. The old mind control program,
Any electronic device to aid themselves in a
As well in separate videos. So
As
gang stalking.
Like, look, notice how all of the things that she could do with her life, and she got fucked so hard that she literally is spending her time trying to make everyone realize that director energy weapons are actually being used on on people. That's her protest. And that's when you know that she really believes it. Because she is literally investing her time in trying to understand this, dude. And if this doesn't break your heart, I don't know what else, but someone's spending their time for years claiming that something is true and not being aware that the entire world is perceiving you as schizophrenic is the worst thing that anyone could do to anyone. And look at how much she believes it. Look, that is how real the effects of manipulation are. It's so real. It's so real, dude. And people that don't understand gang stalking, that have never been victims of manipulation, are gonna perceive people that believe these things as drug addicts, dude. That's where the true tragedy lies in. And here, for example, do you have more information on spellcasting? Let's see. So now, so repetition. Okay, now let's see. Suggestion and autosuggestion. So in a relaxed state or focused state, individuals are more open to suggestions. Autosuggestion involves individuals guiding their own thoughts and feelings by repeating positive statements in the second person. You are getting better, to reprogram the subconscious mind and to change self-perception. This is often used in affirmations and meditation. So I'm not talking about magical thinking, but magical thinking ties up into manipulation. Because if you think that something is true, your mind is gonna have you're gonna believe that there is a link in if you get an outcome that is desirable. Let's see. So Arturo is saying, I feel like it's usually also a cycle. Parents' coping mechanism can be done, not meaning harm, but the children must relearn to release those anxieties. What do you mean? Emotional appeals. Appealing to emotions can bypass logical reasoning and make individuals more susceptible to influence. Manipulators use emotionally charged language and storytelling to evoke specific feelings, sympathy, anger, fear, and gain compliance. Look, manipulators use emotionally charged language and storytelling to evoke specific feelings. And don't you find it easy that that's exactly what happened here? Look, I'm gonna give you an example. This woman, look at this. So look, listen to what Google's saying. Look, listen. Manipulators use emotionally charged language and storytelling to evoke specific feelings, and storytelling to evoke specific feelings, sympathy, anger, or fear. And look at this. This photo is part of my evidence and appears in my book. I've been updating it to include the Franklin cover-up in 1978, 1992, which was connected to a California trafficking ring around 1982, the same network I was a victim of. Storytelling. Um, charged language. California trafficking ring around 1982. Years later, when I began working on missing children's cases, I realized, why are you talking about children's cases? It's not like she's a social worker. She's not a social worker. She claims herself to be a psychic reader. She's not a social worker. Why are you talking about working on children's cases? Again, she is working at manipulation. She's trying to manipulate us to give herself to build sympathy and emotions. I realized I had become a target myself. They were trying to push me toward suicide. Looking back, it's clear that everything traces back to the original event in 1984, when I was 7 years old, and took off. Like, how does this have to do with the freaking government? She was never a part of a government program. You know what I mean? Like the whole thing about the Franklin cover up. That was what the fuck is even the Franklin cover up? Like, how are you at 7 years old? The Franklin prostitution allegations. It's like, bitch, you were not prostituted because you never made a freaking accusation that you were prostituted. You know what I mean? Like the same network I was a victim of. You were never in the Franklin cover up. You would say that you were a child sex trafficker. But look, a person like this, and look, that picture isn't even her picture. Look at how fake that looks. You know what I mean? Maybe it is her. Oh my god, it is her. But she was not a part of a freaking prostitution ring. You would know. So now let's see. Sympathy. So notice that she used everything. She tried to make us feel sympathy, anger, and fear to gain compliance. So she was literally doing that. She was using emotion. She was a textbook version of that. Implicit memory. Priming and repetition work through implicit memory, which uses the unconscious or intentional remembering of previously learned material. The target the target is not consciously aware of that the behavior is being influenced by prior exposure to stimuli. So in gang stalking, you are being made to believe the directed energy weapon, because you are actively primed to believe this. You're primed with this information, and the moment that you start feeling sensations, that's when you're like, oh my god, they are directed energy weapons. But you are literally primed. What is the chat saying? Arturo saying, I found a lot of my partner's behaviors would make me anxious, and I realized it was a form my father coming home from work, and I instantly realized I didn't clean my room or something. Now that I'm older, I understand my father was raised hard in a situation, and my grandmother was very hard on them, wanting them to be strong, but she broke them down sometimes. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, implicit memory. So that's what happens. So gang stalking, what it does is that it gives you memories of reading material of gang stalking, and you get to see, before you feel any gang stalking sensations. I mean, you get to see, to witness or to see testimony of people being harassed by the government and claiming that it's true before you ever feel the directed energy weapon. So what happens is that you immediately associate the sensations that you're feeling with with you rationalize them by you rationalize the sensations that you feel by assuming that they are because of directed energy weapons, because you were primed to you were exposed to a lot of fake testimony about it. So that it's how that works. So in essence, spells can be viewed through a psychological lens as a set of sophisticated persuasive techniques that exploit how the human brain processes information, forms memories, and makes decisions. This is exactly our 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 conclusion to today's stream. In essence, spells can be viewed through a psychological lens as a set of sophisticated persuasive techniques that exploit how the human brain processes information, form memories, and makes decisions, largely below the level of conscious awareness. That is exactly what I wanted to talk to you guys, to confirm to you guys that spouse witchcraft is only if people believe in that, because if you put a spell on someone, like an accusation, "Oh, you're such a drug addict, you're such a drug addict," and you have a coven or a group of witches talking to someone about drugs, that person will, you are actively increasing the possibility of making that person turn into a drug addict. If you surround the person with witches, and and the spells are, "Oh my god, why don't you use some meth? Oh my god, you're such a meth addict," that person will most likely start believing that and possibly partake in those activities. My grandfather passed when my dad was 12, and he has 6 bros and one sister, so I see a lot of controlling issues when you're around. Yeah, it's crazy. The competition. Yeah. Have a good night. Have a good night. But I understand your channel a bit more now that you mentioned the use terms, but base everything on color. Yeah, exactly. So this, exactly. So this, it's everything is right now. I just want to cover a little bit. It's Halloween. So I wanted to talk a little bit more about spells, psychology, and gang stalking, and how everything about gang stalking is literally all psychology, and the only way to evade gang stalking is by staying clear of spells. So if you talk to a lot of people that all of a sudden are big, well, if a lot of a sudden, hang on, if all of a sudden you have people that are drug users talk to you about substance abuse, you can consider a coven. Gang stalking is practically a coven where a bunch of people talk to you. They throw spells on you with the intention of manipulating your behavior. It's psychology, but it can also be said demonic. I mean, witchcraft. It's demonic. Gang stalking is demonic, and it can actually be seen through witchcraft through a lens of witchcraft, or as a lens of Satanism, because Satanism is attacking anything that is good. So please understand this, that it's all psychology, but but people call it different names. And if you want to stay safe from gang stalking, you have to understand what a spell is, what manipulation is, from every possible aspect that you need to understand it. So like earlier, I don't have the screenshot, but earlier on my stream, someone was saying, "Oh my God, I purposely chipped a tooth." Someone literally was saying that. Someone was literally typing on my live stream, "I chipped my tooth. I chipped my tooth. I chipped my tooth. I chipped my tooth. I chipped my tooth purposely." And this person, throughout several live streams, was putting this same comment on my a bunch of live streams, and he did it to a point where I was like, spell, psychology. He was repeating to me, "I chipped a tooth, I chipped a tooth, I chipped a tooth." And look, I banned him once I realized that he was doing that for too long, because of several things. If gang stalkers told me, accused me of being drug addicted for so long, and I allowed those people to talk to me, and I became dependent on substances for a while because I allowed people to talk to me that way. So allowing someone to talk to me about saying "I chipped my tooth," that can have really dire consequences. In addition, if some why it was absurd that someone would tell me "I chip a tooth" so many times. That person was trying to cast a spell on me, was trying to brainwash me into accidentally chipping my tooth. Because for a whole week, this person would come on my streams and tell me the same thing. I chipped a tooth. I chipped a tooth. So guess what? I banned that person. So when anyone is that person, I could say that person was a freaking warlock trying to put a spell. And look, I don't believe in magic, but I believe in the power of repetition. So in the end, please be really careful. If you're hanging out with someone and someone is applying all of these things or is saying, oh, um, eh, yeah, exactly. It's creepy. It's creepy. It's scary when you think about it. Someone was literally trying to manipulate me, to brainwash me, to chip a freaking tooth. And look, those messages when someone is saying, "Oh my God, I am, I got AIDS," and they keep saying that to you a lot of times, dude. Sooner or later, you're gonna start thinking that, and it's so crazy. Like, I had people send me messages for many years saying, "I want you to treat me like shizzle. I want to have intimacy with as many people as possible. I want to have unprotected illicit. I wanted to have unprotected illicit unprotected spicy activity with people. I want to use illicit substances." I was getting so many people. I literally, my life went downhill because I had, for 7 years, I received thousands of messages of a lot of people saying these things, and it had a very real effect. So immediately when someone starts talking to you, "I want to chip a tooth, I want to get eight, I want to do that," and they keep repeating this thing, block. By the love of God, block it, because those are spells, those are manipulations, repetitions. It's wildly effective. It's wildly effective. People, when someone wants to talk to you, to your subconscious mind, someone is going to tell you, "I don't like myself." But they're not saying it because they don't like themselves. They're telling you because they're talking to your mind. People talk to your mind by saying "I." So I can be talking to you and be like, "Oh, I feel awful. I feel disgusting. I feel fat. I feel weak." That, if I say that to you a lot, that is me trying to talk to your mind. Why do you think gang stalkers say things like, hang on, "I have hours of video evidence of immediate neighbors, vehicles parked across the road from me, exhibiting directed energy weapons." Like this is my, it's talking to your mind and it's telling you a story. "My son was V2K, psychotronic technology, synthetic telepathy, electronic harassment, and dude." So like, a lot of these people are speaking to your mind. They're manipulating you. They're manipulating your mind. And again, this is psychological manipulation, spell casting. That's what it is. And you have to understand that how powerful this is. My mind, my life was destroyed for 7 years because I didn't understand any of the information that I'm talking to you about. So you have to understand that this, what gang stalking is very real, and it's based on a lot of people being experts on manipulation. So you have to be really careful when someone is repeating something a lot. That's saying, "Oh, I feel awful. I feel fat. I feel fat. I feel fat. I feel fat," and they're talking to you like that, but about them, you have to be really really careful because that person, like, look, I'm gonna. I actually have an example. I have so many examples. Look, and I'm telling you this because I am actually I'm targeted, dude. I'm a victim of gang stalking. But look, so here the number 10, 8, 9, 10. Oh, here we go. Look, this person. Look at this person is saying you are spun. Hang on. Do you know what you are spun means? You are spun is a euphemism for using crystal meth. And notice that this person here plugged in 69. Look, so look at the whole message. Look, I was literally just doing exercise on a live stream. And this person said, get a life, dude. And look, this person is masking the intent of manipulation. Get a life, dude. I have run 69 marathons. I have run marathons. And this person put in 69. And then you are spun. You are high on meth. That's what this person is trying to say. Again, it's manipulation. And this same stream, this person, CUM. Why would anyone type that? Do you know what I mean? And then, let's see. This person is again, manipulation. 99% of gamblers quit before the jackpot. Do you guys remember that I told you that gang stalkers were trying to make me a gambler? Why would anyone say, for no apparent reason, 99% of gamblers quit before hitting the jackpot? That is someone trying to manipulate me to put ideas in my head of being a gambler. So if I'm ever gambling, whenever I'm at that point, I'm gonna remember this, and and my mind is gonna pull this thought up. 99% of gamblers quit before the jackpot. So if I ever go gamble, I'm gonna think of this, and then I'm gonna think 99% of gamblers quit before the jackpot. So I'm gonna keep on gambling because this is literally went straight to my subconscious mind. So this is all psychological manipulation. This is spell casting, guys. And look, accusation. Has your venereal disease cleared up? I'm literally just the guy working out, and someone is saying, has your venereal disease cleared up? And I'm literally just the guy working out on my streams, dude. And watch. And look, you've been on the glass pipe tonight or not? The next one. Taking crack. You see this, right? These are all intents at manipulating my mind. This is actual gang stalking. And look, listen to this one. Meth is a great product. Do you see that? Do you see this? Are you seeing this? Look, I'm telling you guys, isn't this creepy as hell? Like, this is gang stalking, dude. And look, fentanyl is real life. Notice how many different people, dude, were pushing this. Look, this one, and then Sir Jacob, methamphetamine, taking crack. People, this is gang stalking, dude. It's what I showed you: manipulation, repetition. I literally just showed you here how people can be made to believe weird truths. I literally just showed you guys how, hang on, how people, repetition influences belief, enough. That's exactly so. What I just showed you on all of the screenshots is what happened to me for 7 years. And only now that I understand everything that I showed you, I'm actually taking action to block them. These things are so powerful that they will literally make you believe that you are being harassed by the government. And it's creepy as hell, dude. It's scary, but look, so if any of you guys, if you want to do your friends a favor, share the channel, dude. Share the channel and share this information because there are so many people in gang stalking, dude, and so many. You probably know someone who has tried these tactics on you at least once. And look, there are so many people that are manipulative. And look, so if you guys actually want to make a difference in the world, dude, share this content, talk to as many people as you can about manipulation and how effective it works and show them the examples of gang stalking. Use me as an example, dude, if you want. But gang stalkers literally they hate feeling second place. So if you have your teeth whiter than a gang stalker, they're gonna start feeding you candy and they're gonna be like, I love so much candy, and they might even start giving you donuts and a bunch of candy so that you rotten your teeth. And that's the scary part about it. And the thing is that there are so many of these people. And they're never gonna admit that they are manipulators. And this is the thing. The moment that you out someone, all of their manipulator friends are gonna come to the rescue and they're gonna call you a liar and they're gonna call you crazy, which is the most insane thing about gang stalking. It is a system so polished, dude, that it will destroy people, dude. It destroys people. There's people being destroyed all the time, victims of narcissistic abuse. All narcissists talk to each other and conglomerate and conspire to destroy a person. And this group of people is so big that they typically succeed. So, guys, please if you got something from this, is that manipulation is powerful and it can make people believe anything. Literally. That's what you have to understand. And you have to be incredibly careful with the things that people say around you and the things that people say to you. Okay? So, this concludes today's stream. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope that it helped you understand manipulation, gang stalking, psychology, and spells, magic, whatever you want to call it. Everything is interconnected. And once you see it, it's kind of beautiful because this is the thing. If it works one way, if it works to destroy, imagine what can I do? What can it do if you want to build something? So remember, you can use affirmations, listen to a lot of things, watch a lot of motivational things. You guys can literally brainwash yourselves to become anything that you want. You can literally brainwash yourself to become anything that you want. I have to repeat it so you get it. So regardless of where you are in your life, just know that you can brainwash yourself to be the best version of yourself. So, but you have to actually make an effort. So you can think affirmations, you can play movies. Instead of investing your time, thanks, reverse. I reverse gangster. I feel so healthy. Exactly, Arturo. So you have to play little movies in your head of you kicking ass, of you being amazing. Don't play the memories of you suffering because of gang stalking. That is not gonna do anything. You wanna play movies of you being the best version of yourself, making a lot of money, and you wanna flood your mind. You wanna bombard your mind with as much as possible up with those things. So every day, watch, listen to a podcast about making money. every day work out and think of things that will make you feel like you're amazing. Play a lot of movies about that in your mind, and and look at things that inspire you and motivate you, and bombard your mind. You have to reverse gang stalk. Yeah, reverse gang stalking. So, um, when people feel amazing, be happy for them. Be like, I'm so glad you feel amazing, because that doesn't only make them feel good, but you are making yourself feel good because you feel happy when someone else is happy. Okay, so thank you so much for watching, guys. Please subscribe if you haven't. If you do not know who I am Efren Rodriguez Guerrero. I was targeted for 8 years, and everything that I showed you, all of this information, it took me 8 years to understand it. To understand, well, it took me like three years. I didn't understand I was being gang stalked for like the first four, but then when gang stalking was an actual thing, only then I I began to look for answers, and I found them, and I'm sharing all of the answers with you. So please have a good evening, happy Halloween, and I hope that you guys become the best of yourself. And if you guys want to talk to someone about gang stalking, if you guys want to talk about self-improvement, about becoming the best version of yourself, about fitness, please don't hesitate to chat with me. We'll put it in the comments. And again, I please share all of this content, because it's gonna save lives. I have already helped a lot of people, and the more people that understand that that psychopaths conglomerate together to destroy people, the more everyone knows that, the easier it's gonna be for people to evade it. Okay, so have a good night, guys. Thank you so much for hanging with me. I love you, and please take care. Okay.